Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on billing in Saskatchewan. My name is Vicki, and I've been with QHR for 11 years, with the most recent 5 years as a product trainer. As part of the training team, I teach clients on core Accuro workflows, as well as billing training for all provinces from Ontario to BC. I'd like to point out a few items for our live event today. As always, our training team is ready to answer your questions, so be sure to click the Q&A button at the top of your screen. Once you click that, you'll see a Q&A panel open on the right-hand side of your window, and then click Ask a Question to submit any questions that you may have. Clicking on New Post will allow you to see any newly posted questions and those responses. And if you did ask a question, once it's been answered by the training team, you're going to click on the Show One comment under the question in order to open up the conversation and see the reply. Please enjoy today's event. Although it is live, the presentation is being recorded and will be available in the Accuro Resources page should you need to view anything in the future. And if you're not sure where that is, stick around to the end and I'll be happy to show you how to find it. All right, so for today, we're going to look over some configure information for the provider, as well as some user credentials, how to create a claim, including a quick review on how to do hospital billing. We're also going to touch on some submission and download best practices. And then we're going to talk about how to manage returned claims, including claim matching, and then how to follow up with your accounts receivable. We'll also sprinkle some tips and tricks along the way. All right, so let's get started. When I'm in Accuro, the first thing that we're going to look at is provider configuration. Now, I can get there by pressing F2 on my keyboard or clicking the Accuro menu and going to Tools and Configure Providers. First tip, if I'm moving my mouse and it's jumping around all over the place, click the header so that it holds the submenu open. And if there are any shortcut buttons, it'll let you know on the right-hand side. Once I'm in the Configure Provider window, I have a provider loaded, but if I needed to access a different provider, I can certainly click on them on the left-hand side. Once they're loaded, I'm going to click the Configure button down at the bottom corner here. That's going to open up my Provider Wizard window. From here, I'm going to click Next so that it takes me to the billing options. We're just going to touch on a few of the items in here, so if there are other things you have questions about, please feel free to ask questions. First is the doctor number and doctor number for billing. If you don't have something in the doctor number for billing, you would use this ellipses button to the right in order to select it. If you don't have a number in there, I'll show you shortly how to add it. Clinic number and group number also need to be added. Previously, you used to be able to just add 000 for clinic number, but that's no longer allowed, so you need to make sure that you have this number entered. You also want to make sure that you have your corporate indicator and mode. From here, the one thing that I will touch on before I move on is going to be this service location. So in the dropdown, you would want to select your location in order to take advantage of any premiums that might be available for you. Once we're satisfied with all the changes that we wanted to make, we're going to click the next button until the finish button is clickable, because that's going to allow us to save our changes. Okay, so now to add that doctor number for billing, I can click on the Accuro menu and go to billing and then billing options, or I can also search. So another tip, as soon as I click on menu, it defaults to the search field. I can just type in number and then use manage billing numbers. From here, if I need to add, I would just click the add button, enter the number that I need, and then click OK. I don't need it, so I'm just going to cancel, and then I'd close my window. The next thing that I would need is user configuration. So each person who's doing their billing needs to have a group user key entered. To do that, I'm clicking on the Accuro menu, going to File and User Preferences. From there, I want the login screen, and I'm going to add my group user key number. Just going to quickly cut and paste that in there just as a sample. And then from there, I'm just going to say OK, And I'm going to press apply in order to save my changes and then close the window here. All right, so let's talk about claim creation and then how you access them. Claims are created in one of two ways. The first way is through booking an appointment in the scheduler. Once that's been booked, it starts the claim process for you by creating the shell of the claim. The other way is through new bill, and I'll show you different ways to access that throughout the schedule. All right, so accessing, I can always right-click on an appointment and then click the claim details window in order to open up my claim. But this isn't the most efficient workflow, so let's look at something that would work a little bit better. If I go into the EMR, I have a variety of ways that I can bill from here. I could bill directly from the day sheet if I need to, either by going into the claim or using a macro with my right-click options to go into the claim. The other way is through the encounter notes. Now, if I'm just going to see a patient and I want to enter some billing and then move on to my next patient, I can right-click and go into the claim details. This is also one of the places where I can click New Bill to create a bill that's not associated to an appointment. Next tip, if I want to move on to my patients, if I click that drop down, this is also active as a day sheet, so I can click on them and move forward. The other place where I can make a bill or enter my billing information rather is if I'm in an appointment note. So if you want to be able to complete the full patient visit by completing a note and your billing at the same time, or for you billers, if you need to come and look at a note that's left by the provider to indicate what should be billed, open up that note window, and down here at the bottom, you're going to see this Open Claim Details button. Once I click on that, it's going to open up the claim for this particular appointment, and I can enter in my information. I'm going to come in and enter my procedure code, and then I'm going to tab over and enter the diagnostic code. Once I'm done, save and close. I've completed my note, so I can just also save that and close out of here as well. All right, so the most common place that we're going to see people billing from is from the claims section itself, where people can go through either the daily claims or the unsubmitted. I can open up a claim by double-clicking the patient's name or their health card number, or I can conveniently bill right from the column. If I click into a column, I can enter my claim information. This is also where I can complete a new bill. So if I right-click, I can go to New Bill. I can also use New Bill at the bottom to open up a new bill. So I've made this custom action. I can also do New Bill for current patient. So if I have someone loaded, I can just open up the bill and have them auto-populate. For now, I'm going to start a new bill, and this bill is going to be one for a patient that the provider has seen in hospital. So I'm just going to search up the last name. However, next little tip, if my patient section is empty in any patient field or last name field in this case, if I hit enter, it's going to give me my most recent 12 patients, and I could choose from here if I had that patient already loaded previously. Now that we've searched for our patient, we're just going to click on him and have him come into the claim, and then I'm going to start my billing. So when it comes to hospital billing, I have the option to bill a bunch of things at once. So first thing I'm going to do is put in the patient's first 10 days of hospital care. And then once I tab over or click over to the diagnostic section, you're going to see this pop up. This pop-up allows me to enter in the number of days that I need to bill as just one large group of billing. So I'm going to enter the patient's admission date. I'm going to bill for last month, so I'm going to enter that in here. The last day of hospital care, so the last date that my provider saw the patient. And then the number of days already billed for this patient. Once I enter that, you'll see that it calculates the already billed until field. It's just going to let me know that those 4 dates are no longer going to be considered as part of that 025B. I also can put in the patient discharge if a patient has been discharged so that it will auto bill that for me. And I can also put in the diagnostic code here. From here, I could clear the hospital dates and start over if I notice that there's something wrong. I can also edit any of the fields, or when I'm done, I can also just click OK. Oh, last day. Oh, sorry, didn't change that to 01. There we go. All right, so then OK. As you notice, if I do make a mistake, Accuro's got me. It's going to show me that I've made something wrong, and then I can go ahead and correct it. It's also going to pop up this information to, again, let me know, hey, this is what you're doing for 20 days. Are you sure you want to? I'm going to say OK. Now you'll notice that Accuro really does take care of my billing a lot for me. It's put in my 025 day B and the quantity of those days because it's minus the 4, the next batch of 10 that I'm allowed to bill, and then the remaining option of days that I had in that date range. It's also entered in that discharge code for me. So I want to make sure that I have my referring practitioner in here. I also want to make sure that if I need to change start and end times, I do that, and that I have location correct. If I know that the location needs to be different within the claim, I can actually change it per procedure line. So maybe for that first bit, the doctor saw the patient during the day, but maybe the next bit, the provider worked in office and only saw the patient after hours. I can come over to this little button here to unlink the location. Once I do that, you'll see that the icon has changed, and I can come in and I can change what it is. So now if I click through, you'll notice that first one will keep that inpatient business hours, but the second one is after hours. So I can individually choose what it's supposed to be. From here, I want to make sure that I have all of my information entered, and then I can close out of my claim. Side note, if it's important for you to have a list of each individual interaction with the patient on the correct dates as opposed to just a lump, what you can do is you can also come down to the bottom, and if you have a claim from previous, you can always right click on it and do copy claim to above, and then do that for each date, just changing the service dates, and then save those individually. Also, when I'm ready to close my window, I have a couple of options of what I can do. I can do save and new and move on to my next patient, as this will save the claim and clear that patient search field for me. Or in this case, when I'm done, I just do save and close. Now, when it comes to submitting, we always recommend that people do their submissions from the unsubmitted. There are a bunch of reasons why we would tell people to do that. Mainly, it's because this is going to hold any claim that needs to be submitted from any date range. I'm not having to go backwards and look to see if claims have been submitted, and I don't have to worry that I've missed out on something. The other thing that helps is your date filter at the top. It is important from time to time, especially for well-established clinics, to change this and just view all items to make sure there's nothing that's missing that you didn't intend to miss. Once I do the submission, I'm going to hit Submit Claims. Now, because this is a test environment and I don't have access to do the submission, you're just going to have to imagine along with me. Once I hit that, I'm going to get a pop-up, and it's going to ask me if I want to print the listing for today. I can just say no to that. Accuro stores that information, and I can always go back to my reports section and find that information as needed. It will also have a second pop-up that is the verification that the submission has been done. You can, if you want to, print that and save that as confirmation, either as a physical copy or print to PDF and keep it on your computer. My next step after a successful submission is to press the remittances button down here at the bottom right corner. That's going to make sure that I'm downloading, and I want to get into the habit of making sure I'm doing this each time I submit. It's important to have this habit because this will allow me to download and then manage any returned claims and hopefully get them in before the next cutoff date. All right, so let's say that we've done our submission, and now we're going to talk about how to manage those returned claims. My first step that I want to take when I'm managing any returned claims is going to my Unmatched Remittances tab. I want to start here because anything in this place doesn't report anywhere in Accuro. So I want to make sure that I'm managing this first because I want to make sure that all of my claims are displaying accurate payment information. Why do claims end up in here? There's a variety of reasons. It could be that claims were submitted from a different database. It also could be that when I submit things like batch hospital date ranges, I get a response back on a specific date within that date range. And Accuro knows that that's not what left my system. So it takes care of me in that way too. It doesn't make an assumption and create potential errors by auto matching things together. It leaves it here for me to decide. So the first thing that I want to do is make sure I'm clicking this All Remittances button here at the top. And then from there, I'm going to click on a claim. So if I click on my claim here, and because it's a test database, they're rather old. But again, always making sure that all remittances are in here so I'm not navigating through the payment period down at the bottom in order to manage them, makes things a lot easier. Once I click on a response at the top, Accuro will show me what it thinks is the appropriate match at the bottom. I'm going to make sure by patient health card number, the date of service, if I think it's in a date range, I can open up additional claim data. And once I'm sure that these are the same, I'm going to click on the bottom response and then click that match button. If anything has come back with an explanatory code, when it's matched, it will also show in the not reconciled. This is the reason why I want to do this first. I don't want to clear the not reconciled and then match a claim that may have come back with an explanatory code and then have to go back to the not reconciled and deal with things a second time. So let's simplify and streamline, stop here first and get that done. If I did have a potential match, but it wasn't showing up for my patient and I knew that there was a claim for this patient, I can always come to this patient search field and search for my patient that way. So for now, I've got both of these selected. I'm going to press match. It's going to ask me, hey, are you sure you want to select these two? And I'm going to say yes. The other reason, as we had mentioned, is that maybe the claim doesn't belong here. Maybe this was from prior to us switching to this database, and I don't need to manage this claim in this space. So what I'm going to do is press this not on file option. And then once the claim is not on file, I can just clear NOF. And that will clear it out of my system. If I need to find information on this one, I can also go into the report section for this as well. All right, so now I'm going to go over to my not reconciled and quickly go through how to manage claims in here. Again, we always want to check from time to time in those well-established clinics for all items to make sure that there's no surprises in here. Well, first thing I'm going to do when I come into my not reconciled is clear anything that's been overpaid, so that I have less items sitting in here. So right click, I'm going to adjust all overpayments to paid and get them cleared out. Accuro will let me know how many bills I'm adjusting. I'm just going to click OK. If I wanted to, I could enter a reason, or if I have something that I type all the time, I could use manage. If it's already paid though, I don't need to give an explanation. I'm just going to click OK. Now that's cleared out for me, I can move on to what I need to manage next. So if I look at my potential claims here and what the issue is, I'm going to right click and check the claim history. This is going to show me the back and forth from the ministry with the information of what's happened with this claim. If it's a duplicate and I know that I've already billed this for this patient, I'm going to use adjust to paid. The best thing for you to know between adjust to paid or the other option of write-off is when they're being used. Adjust to paid is used when I know that I have duplicated something or I billed something incorrectly. An adjustment is essentially a correction or something that goes against the rules of what I'm allowed to bill. So I'm just going to right click and I'm using adjust to paid. It's going to ask me if I'm sure I want to because this claim has not been paid. I'm going to say yes. And now I'm going to enter in a reason so I'm not doing this all the time. So I'm just going to type in duplicate and then OK and then OK. And now it's in my dropdown and I don't have to type it anymore. The other option, as I mentioned, is write-off. So I know for this particular patient, they don't have coverage. We tried to get payment from them, but it's just not happening. And I don't want this to sit in here for too long. So I'm going to right click and do write-off. There might be other reasons why you would write off a claim, but this is probably going to be the most common. Again, I can type in my reason manually if I want to, and then I'm just going to press OK. And now that I'm done, the last place I'm going to check is going to be my accounts receivable. Accounts receivable shows me anything that is owing for the data for my office rather. So first thing I'm going to do is insurer dropdown. I can choose a specific one or a group based on what I'm looking for. And because this is query based, it's always going to be blank when you first come in. So you'll need to press that Find Claims button. Once I do that, it's going to look for any claim that has not been fully paid. This does manage itself to some degree in that if the claim is fully paid, or if I do a write-off or an adjustment, it then removes it from here for me. And I'm only left with the things that I need to look at. The best way for me to manage this screen is to sort by submitted date, which is going to sort it in order of urgency. Anything not submitted is going to be more urgent than something submitted, and my oldest submitted date is going to be more urgent than something more recent. I can also give myself visual clues on how important a claim is going to be. So I'm going to add some color. Anything less than 60 days, I leave it blank. Anything more than 60 days, I'm clicking this little box over here and I'm going to add some color. Anything over 90 days, I'm going to add a bit more color. And then anything over 120 days, I'm going to add. What will happen is then I get a highlight of anything that I need to actually take a look at. The submitted then also allows me to say, well, if I've recently submitted that claim, it's going to be at the bottom of my list. So I know that I've recently dealt with it. So I can look at how early did I submit it and how old is this based on the data service. This will allow me to always make sure that I'm getting the best and the most amount out of my billing. All right, so from here, I'm going to show you how to get to the resources page. I mentioned to you that if we need to, you can always come back and take a look. I'm going to the AccuroEMR.com/support site. And from there, it's going to give me information on how I can manage more or get answers more in Accuro. So I can come up to the top here, I can search, I can browse by category, and if I scroll down, I can also use the Accuro user guide. If I want to find this particular information, if I go to Explore Training Options, it's going to give me the option if I scroll down to go to Webinars. And in the webinar options, I can then sign up for whatever's coming or review whatever we've done in the past. Also, in Accuro Performance Training or Accuro Learning Academy, if I log in, I can search for more info. I've already done that ahead of time. So once I'm logged in, I've done a search for Saskatchewan and I come up with a whole bunch of things that I can do in order to find more data and improve on my knowledge of Accuro. All right, so before we wrap up, I just want to remind you that there is going to be a survey that is going to pop up. You should be able to see that, and if not, please click on the chat bubble, and then you'll be able to see that as well. Please take a few moments to fill in our survey. This really drives what we present to our clients. So have a say and let us know what you would like us to do for you in future and how you enjoyed this presentation. We'll leave that open for you for a few moments, and I hope everybody has learned something or at least been able to take something away today. Thanks so much for attending.